Modular mates are so incredible because they really do solve a problem that most people have in their kitchen. If you look at the picture that I'm showing you, you're going to see what is typically an average customer or an average consumer's pantry or cabinets in their kitchen. Boxes, bags, things with twist ties, things stacked on top of one another, and really no sense of organization. So there's lots of problems that happen with that. First of all, you can forget what you have because it's buried inside of the pile. Second, there's obviously going to be duplicate purchases because you could have a couple of packages of brown sugar in there, half opened and half used up, and not even realize it because everything is just in there wherever. And then, of course, it's really not very sanitary because things tend to leak out of those boxes and those bags. So your cabinets end up having granules of food all over. And of course, that's just an open invitation for insects to come crawling. And so no matter how clean your house is, if you've got little granules of food, that's an invitation to those tiny little ants that nobody wants to have, or worse yet, some of the other insects that can come into the kitchen. And then one of the other things is that I've never met anybody that says, I have way too many kitchen cabinets and I can't fill them all. Most people say, I don't have enough kitchen cabinets. And so one of the things that you'll find that will be so helpful with this is that everything will have a permanent place because everything is stackable. You're actually going to find that you're going to have a lot more extra space. And that is a huge benefit. So when I first transitioned to Modular Mates, I had a very small closet that was a pantry. It basically had about 4 shelves in it, and it was probably about 20 inches wide. And what was so amazing to me is that when I took my food and put it in modulars and was able to stack everything on top of one another, I actually had an entire empty shelf. And that was great because that gave me more storage places for other items as well. So those are just a couple of the benefits. So taking a look at this, would you want your kitchen to look like the one on the left, or would you want your kitchen to look like the one on the right? And nobody says the one on the left. And that's exactly what the Modular Mates will do. It will eliminate what we call kitchen chaos, where everything is just willy-nilly everywhere. So let's talk a little bit about some of the benefits that we have with our Modular Mates. So one of the nice things is that everything has a permanent location. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this. They're not glued down in your cabinets, but you're going to want to learn to organize things in what we call the centers concept. And they are stackable. So again, that maximizes your storage space. They're see-through, so you'll know exactly what's inside, and you'll also know how much is left. How many of you can relate to where you think you have something in your pantry or in your cabinets, and you go to grab the box out only to find out that somebody put an empty box back in the cabinet? I mean, if you live by yourself, that doesn't happen, but most of us don't live by ourselves, and especially if you have kids, that's definitely something that can be very frustrating. And again, it keeps your shelves cleaner. They're airtight, so the moisture is going to stay out, which keeps the freshness in, and it also keeps household pests out. So if you do happen to get some of those little sugar ants, they can't get inside of your container. That said, they also can't get out. And this brings me to an opportunity to talk about a not so pretty topic, and that's the bugs that we sometimes can bring home from foods that we buy at the grocery stores. So when you think about our foods, they're on semi-trucks and they're unloaded into the backs of grocery stores on pallets, and then they're loaded up onto the shelves. And so, first of all, there's a lot of handling that goes there. And the other thing is there's a lot of opportunities for there to be bugs inside of those packages. If there was any bug in anything that was on that truck, it can actually migrate into the flour. So maybe grits had some bugs, and now the flours all have bugs as well. So if you bring that home and you put that into your pantry, guess what? they're also going to migrate into everything that's in your pantry. And that can literally cost you hundreds of dollars in food waste because you have to throw everything out. So should you bring home containers that have bugs in it and you place them in your modular mates, what happens is they're locked in because the container is airtight. And those little bugs are going to rise up to the top because they're trying to get air, and there is none because it's airtight. And when you go to remove the seal, you're going to then see a kind of a web if they're the weevils, and you're going to see the dead bugs there. Then you know, okay, I just need to throw this away. So that's why when I come home from the grocery store, I always immediately transfer absolutely everything into my modular mates. Nothing sits on my shelf waiting to be put into my modulars, because if I put it on my shelf and it's in a package, if there's something in it, it can come out and it can get into everything. So nothing is in my cabinet that is not in a modular mate. And that really is going to save you a ton of money, and it's going to just make things so much cleaner in your house. So there's no waiting aside. Everything's going to be in Tupperware. The other thing that I absolutely love is getting those dirty packages out of my house, because as I mentioned, there's a lot of people that touch all of our things. I mean, they're on a shelf. People pick up a box of something and they're looking at the ingredients, or they're looking at the directions and they put it back. So I don't want that in my kitchen. So getting things out of that packaging is helping me to have a more sanitary environment in my kitchen. The other thing is it's going to save you money because you're not going to be going back and forth to the grocery store as often, because you're going to know exactly what you have and how much you have left. And it also gives you the ability to buy in bulk and save money on those things that you use frequently. So I do buy in bulk when I buy things like flour and sugar and rice, because those are things that we use frequently. And so I will stock up on those. Can save a lot more money if I buy those at places like Costco rather than buying a smaller bag. But you can't afford to do that if when you bring it home, it's just going to go bad. So, and even bags of chips and things like that that are larger quantities, you can afford to buy the larger quantity packages. It'll save you a ton of money when you do that, and they'll stay fresh because you're using your Tupperware modular mates. So how do they stack up? So all of our containers are, they have names, and so we call them our ovals, our squares, and our rectangles. And then we also have our super ovals. So today we're primarily going to be talking about our ovals and our squares, because those are our featured products right now. So an oval is what we call 1 unit wide. So if you were doing a custom kitchen planning, this would take up 1 square is what we call it on our graphing. Whereas our squares are actually 2 units wide. So I call these Legos for mommy. And the best way that I can kind of explain that and the units is if I take a square, which is 2 units wide, and I place that down, I can actually put 2 ovals on top of that. So 1 unit, another unit, that's a total of 2. And then my square is a total of 2 as well. And that's why they sit on top of that so nicely. So just think about Legos and how we stack those up when we're playing with those. So squares and rectangles are 2 units wide. Rectangles are 3 units wide if you don't put them in deep. And we don't have rectangles out today, but there are people that love rectangles, and I have a lot of rectangles in my pantry. However, in my cabinets, they will not fit because my cabinets are not deep enough for that. And so I have to put them sideways, which then I can actually stack 3 modular ovals on top, or 1 square and 1 oval, because remember, a square is 2 and then I have the oval. So that's how these all stack up and they work together. So next, you're going to find that there's numbers on the bottom of each container. So today I have an oval set that's out here with me. I've got a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1. So if I put this 1 on top of the 2, I have 2 plus 1 is 3, which is the same height as a 3. If I put this 1 on top of the 4, Then I have 4 plus 1 is 5. It's the same height as a 5. And if I put my 2 on top of a 3, then that's 5. And now I have everything stacked up evenly. Some pantries have really high shelves. And so you might actually find that you could do a 1 on top of your 5, put a 2 on top of your 4, and then I have a 3 right here. And if I put another 3 on top of that, 3 plus 3 is 6. Now I have a stack of 6. So that's how they stack up and are so much fun to be able to put together. Now, if you move often, you're going to love these because obviously you can take them from house to house. And so many kitchen cabinets, the shelves are adjustable. So that's the perfect world because then you can actually adjust things. But there are times where you go into a house and the shelves are not adjustable. And so if that's the case, you could actually take your 5 and you could put it on its side just like this. And then you could stack everything up to the height of a 4. If you've got really a kind of a squatty shelf, then again, you can put your 4 on its side, and then you can put your 1 on top of your 2. And so that's 3. This is 3. And then you've got these laying this direction. So that would work as well. So they're very, very flexible, especially for those of you that move frequently. So that's how they all stack up. Now let's talk about labeling and let's talk about instructions. So I have labels on all of mine, but I label them based on how they're going to be positioned in my cabinet. So if you look at, let's see if I can find something. Here's one. So this is graham cracker crumbs. And I have it labeled here in the front because when this is in my pantry where I decided to put this, this part is actually facing forward. However, looking at some of these other ones that I have, my label is actually on the front. And that's because I have a deep pantry. I can place this in front of, excuse me, a square or a rectangle. And I want to be able to read from the front what's inside of this. So I put the label on the front. You can actually put the label on the top if you wanted to as well. Excuse me. Now, what about package instructions? So if you tend to buy things that need to have instructions, minute rice, for example, and you want to know how much water goes to how much of the rice, or even oatmeal, for example, there's a couple of solutions because remember, you're going to remove your food from packaging and you're going to put it in the Modular Mates. So option 1 is you can just cut the instructions. And if it's like on cardboard, like with something on a Bisquick package, for example, you can just slide that down inside of the container if you wanted to. So that's option 1. If it's a small item, you can actually tape it to the inside of the seal. I've had some people tell me that they tape it to the inside of their cabinets, and I've had other people that tell me that they get the type of recipe books that are almost like photo albums that have the sticky pages, and they place them in that, and that way they've got that to look at. You know, what you'll find is for many of those items, after you use them for a while, you'll actually know and remember the measurements that you need. But those are a couple of solutions of what do I do with the instructions for the food that's on the outside of the box or the package. So the big question is, do I want squares or do I want ovals? And the answer is really, it depends on what you're putting in them. Because with the ovals, one of the nice things is that this is great for things that you need to pour. So if it's something that you feel is a pourable item, that's definitely something you want to put into an oval. If it's something that you're going to want to scoop, that's where you're going to find that the squares are better because then you can stick your measuring cup right in there and scoop right out. So that's one way to make the difference or the decision. The second way that you can make the decision is really what's going to fit. So when I look at an oval 4, for example, it has the exact same capacity as a square 2. So remember, this is basically, in thinking about the way we do things with the Legos, this is 2 2s of ovals stacked on top of one another would be a 4. And if I were to put 2 2s on top of this, it would be the same. So whatever fits in a 4 oval is going to fit in a 2 square. So this might fit better in my cabinet. First of all, my cabinets might not be tall enough for that uh, oval, or I just may have something else that I've got underneath this that I need to have room for as well. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of how do you make that decision on whether I want a square or whether I want an oval. So let's talk about some of the different things that you can put inside of all the different items. So our square one, which I don't have an actual square one on the display because it's not in one of our sets this week, but you can purchase them separately, is going to be the height of an oval one, but it's going to be the size of our square two. So some examples of things that you could actually put inside of a square one is 2 pounds of brown sugar. You can put a pound of coffee, 2 pounds of popcorn. You can put coconut in it, marshmallows, tea bags. I actually also keep in mind coffee filters. So if you need the little V coffee filters, they'll fit perfectly inside of there as well. A square two, oh my gosh, so many uses of a square two. So 5 pounds of sugar, 3 pounds of pancake mix, 2 pounds of elbow macaroni, 2 pounds of coffee, 2 pounds of popcorn, potato flakes, rice. Again, a large bag of marshmallows will fit inside of a square two. When you're looking at a square three, the square three is what we need for flour. So 5 pounds of flour takes up more space than 5 pounds of sugar volume wise. So I have a couple of these because I have my bread flour and then I have my all purpose flour and I also have whole wheat flour. So that is a square three. Again, you can use this for macaroni, cornmeal, rice, the larger package of baking mix, which is like Bisquick, for example. So those are some examples of the things that you'll keep in your square three. Your square fours are going to be like having 2 twos. So that's our tallest container that we have in our modular world that's of the square. And so with your square four, if you buy your coffee in bulk, that would be great. Also, you could use this for your rice, dried beans. Again, you could put a larger package of flour inside of this as well. So again, thinking about what is it that you use in the larger quantities. And you don't have to really guess because we have a storage chart that will give you all the solutions. This is a great package for saltines or crackers as well. And then when you think about our oval containers, again, those are things that probably you're going to want to pour or that are easy, like a small measuring cup. A lot of times it's things that you only need 1/4 of a cup of, and it's easy to stick 1/4 of a cup inside of our ovals. So things like chocolate chips, dried beans, baking soda are perfect inside of here. And this is the one thing I've always told customers. If you look at this and you just say, you know what, I don't think I need any of this modulars. I'm just going to stick with what I'm doing and put everything in the boxes. That's just fine. Okay, but there is one piece that you've got to buy. Everybody, no matter what your feelings about this, needs an oval one. And that oval one is for your baking soda. Because I want you to think about something. We buy baking soda and we put it in our refrigerator to absorb up odors. That is one of the things that baking soda is known for. So if you buy that little box, that little yellow box of baking soda, and you open it up and you put a teaspoon of it in one of your recipes, yeah, you can kind of snap it down a little bit. That little cardboard thing has a little thing that you can snap into the bottom of it, but it's not airtight. And so now you have that up there, and guess what it does? It may not be in the refrigerator absorbing odors, but it's in your cabinet absorbing odors. And if nothing else is in Tupperware, it starts absorbing up odors. So, it's living next door to your taco seasoning mix. And so it's going to absorb up that flavor, that odor of that. And then when you go to put that in something that you're cooking and you wonder, why don't my cookies taste like tacos? It's because your baking soda absorbed the odor and the flavor of the taco seasoning. So if you don't buy any other modular mate, you need an oval one to keep your baking soda in. That is perfect. So that's our oval one. Oval two, again, lots of different applications for this. Small packages of brown sugar, snacks, nuts, and things like that will fit inside of here perfectly. The oval 3 is great for your noodles. If you don't do a lot of baking and you just need 2 pounds of flour, that would be a great size. 2 pounds of baking mix, a pound of coffee. So oval 3s are perfect for those items. And of course, with the coffee, you just needed something that's big enough to put that little coffee scoop inside of. With our oval 4s, lots of uses for the oval 4s. You'll see that I took all of this Tupperware right out of my kitchen pantry today. This one right here has got my pancake mix inside of it. This one has got my graham cracker crumbs. This one right here has got my hot chocolate mix inside of it. So those are just a couple of examples of the things that you can put inside of your oval 4. And then your oval 5, this is great for larger package of items. You could put your sugar in here if you wanted to. Obviously, you can use this for your spaghetti. I want you to take a look at this one. I have this one, I've labeled it with 3 different things. So it says spaghetti fettuccine linguine, because I just actually put the boxes right inside just like that. So I can put 3 different boxes of 3 different types of pasta inside of there. I also use this for lasagna noodles. It can fit right down inside of here. Those are great for ice cream cones. So, you don't want those to get stale because then they're kind of gummy. So you can put your ice cream cones inside of your oval 5. So hopefully this gives you an idea of the many uses of our modulars and the things that you could put inside. So these are the storage charts that I shared with you. We will be happy to post these so you can print them off if you'd like to. And of course, a Tupperware consultant can really help you more by helping you to make the best decision and organizing that. So we've got 2 full pages of that. So now let's talk about the centers concept. This is the silver bullet of organizing your kitchen. You are going to love this, and you're going to think, why have I always not done this in the past? So what we've done in Tupperware is we've divided all of the foods, the dry food items in the kitchen, into 5 categories. We have baking, snacks, beverage, breakfast, and then pasta, bean, etc. So the whole idea behind this is that like foods go in the same place, the same area of your cabinet, so that you're not walking all over or reaching on all 5 shelves of your pantry, digging around looking for the things that you need when it's time to make cookies. So everything for baking would be right there in one area, on one shelf, in one little area. So you'd have your flour, your sugar, your baking soda, your baking powder, your chocolate chips, all of those things, anything it has to do with baking would actually be in that area. Then you'd have a snack center, and the snack center is things like pretzels, popcorn, chips, crackers, and so forth. Our beverage section is for all things related to beverages. So those coffee filters, your coffee, your tea bags. I have a container right over here that have my little pods for my Nespresso. So I keep those right inside of here. You could buy those little round cans that have like a lemonade mix. They get all hard and gummy. So you could put your lemonade mix, your iced tea mix. It depends on what kind of beverages that you're buying, but all those mixes, even for your protein drinks, you want to keep those inside of Tupperware too. You want them to be in an airtight container. Some of those are sold in plastic jars with twist tops, but many of them come in packages, and so you want to put those in there. Hot chocolate mix. So all of those are things that would go into your beverage center. Breakfast would be all things related to breakfast. So grits, pancake mix, cereal, granola bars, everything that you typically use for breakfast, one section. And then pasta, bean, etc. All of your different pastas. We love pasta, so I have lots of different pastas, dried beans, lentils, packaged mixes, any of those. That's what the etc. covers as well. So imagine the ease of cooking when you can go to this cabinet or this shelf and know that everything that you need is right in that area. So Not only does it save you time while you're cooking, but this is also perfect when you're trying to do your grocery shopping because you can open up your cabinets and first of all, you can see through everything. So you know what's inside, you know how much is left. And you can, especially if you're going to be baking, you can go right to your baking center and double check everything, the inventory that you have and see, is there anything that you need to add to the grocery list for your baking category if it's time to start your baking. Many of you start your holiday baking early, and so this is a really, really great tip. So it also avoids duplicates. Now, there are some foods that can go either way, and you can decide where you're going to put them. I've actually had some customers that have bought 2 containers and had them twice. It's really up to you. Oatmeal is an example. So do you want oatmeal in the baking center? Because when you use it, you usually are making oatmeal cookies. Or do you want it in the breakfast center? Because when you use it, you're making breakfast. A personal choice. You could put it in the breakfast center, and then when you're making those cookies, you could just know to go there to get that. Or you could get 2 separate containers and split the package up. So that gives you a couple of ideas of what to do when you've got something that can go either way. So this centers concept is going to transform the way you organize your kitchen. The other really awesome part when you're thinking about this is the positioning. Now, if you have a pantry, you either have a walk-in pantry or you've got like a closet that's got different shelves. And so everything's going to be in your pantry. But if you don't have a pantry, you may be using your cabinets. And if you're using your cabinets, here's something to think about. The positioning is best where you're going to use that. So where would you stand when you're making chocolate chip cookies? Where's the closest cabinet to that? Snacks. Do you want them up high so the kids can't get them, or do you want them down low so that they're available? Beverage. My beverage center is not in my pantry. It's right above my coffee maker. My coffee maker is close to my sink because you got to add water. So the cabinet to the right and above my sink is where I keep my beverage ingredients. Breakfast, typically, depending upon what with the cereal, a lot of it, you're going to add milk. So you may want to put that close to the refrigerator so you don't have to walk all over the kitchen from the time you get the cereal to the time you get the milk. So again, that's something to think about. I don't have a lot of cereal on hand, so that's not something that I think about. And if you're not a big cereal eater, and typically the breakfast items are things that have to be cooked, like pancake mix and grits and things like that, then it's a totally different situation. And then pastas, you've got to cook those. And so that's going to need to be near the stove, right? So why not choose a cabinet that's close to the stove so you can reach right up there and get that? So in our last house, we had a very large walk-in pantry. And the only food that I had in that large walk-in pantry were my snacks. Everything else I had in my cabinets because I wanted it convenient and near those countertops in the center sections that I just told you about. The snacks I had out of sight, out of mind, right? And then that pantry is where I put other things that most people would put inside of their cabinets, things like my slow cooker, and I had a chafing dish, and all those things that we have that we don't use that often, but we need, but they were taking up valuable real estate in the cabinets. And I'd rather have them in the pantry shelf and be able to get to my food. So those are just a couple of things that you might want to think about when you're organizing your kitchen cabinets. So guess what? It's not just for the kitchen. Yep, you can level up your pantry and all of your cabinets. This is great for the RV. We had an RV when we lived in Florida, and you've got to maximize all of your space, and you can't have anything breakable, and you sure don't want anything that can absorb that moisture. So we used all of the ovals and the squares because those cabinets are not very deep. You can use them in the bathroom. You can use them in a dorm room. So there's so many uses. I have them in my laundry room to organize things as well. So lots of different ways and lots of different rooms that you can use this. It is all designed to save space, preserve taste, and eliminate waste. To recap things, I just want to talk a little bit about why I'm so passionate about modulars, and I believe absolutely everybody will benefit by having these in their kitchen. To me, our modular mates are an investment. because it's something that you'll purchase today and you're going to use them forever. But let's compare them to some of the appliances that you might have in your kitchen. Whether we're talking about your more expensive appliances like your refrigerator or your stove or your oven, or we're talking about some of your appliances like high-end coffee makers and things of that nature. None of those last a lifetime, and they all require electricity to run. But with your modular mates, they have a lifetime warranty. They require no electricity, and they're going to be working and doing their job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. To me, when you invest a couple of $100s in modular mates for your kitchen, that is the best money that you can spend, because that's money that you're not going to be wasting on your food budget. So we would love to help you to take the first step in getting your kitchen Tupperized with our modular mates. Reach out and let us know how we can help you. Thank you.